we go. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome on in. We are just getting started with our workshop. I want to give everybody a couple seconds to join us. My name is Kesley Anderson, and I will be your Cricut coach for our bows and paper flowers class. Today, we're going to make 4 different projects, which is a lot, but don't be scared. We've got lots of time to work through the projects. And just as a reminder, this class is being recorded. So the recorded version will be available for you after the workshop to view. We will drop a link to the recording in the chat so that if you would like to, if you'd like to access that right away, you certainly can have access to the recording right away. Let's see. This is a webinar, so if you've joined us before on a webinar, we usually do it with a presentation and then we lead into the project, but I'm flipping that around a little bit because we do have 4 different projects to do. I thought we would just jump right into the projects and talk as we go along. So if, as we're working, you have any questions that you'd like us to answer, you can drop those in the bottom of your Zoom window using the Q&A feature. I have Katie and Christine here to help answer questions as we move through the project, and they're going to do their best to answer all the questions you may have. Now, I do have my monitor a little bit further away. I forgot to grab my iPad and bring it close. I may have a second to do that to be able to see your questions. So, but do drop your questions in there, and when they're relevant, we will be able to answer those questions for you. So let me show you the 4 different projects we're going to make. The first is this simple bow wrap. This will be the first one we make, and it has these extra flaps on it so you can wrap it around a present. Very fun, very easy. And then we'll make this little bow topper. Now, you can make yours in this smaller size if you'd like to, or you can go with a bigger size. So up to you. I'll show you how to resize that. We'll do a pom-pom topper, and you can do it as many layers of the pom-pom as you'd like, so it can get really big. You can do multiple layers if you would like to. This is a fun one. I love the pom-pom toppers. It's super cute. And then, not to disappoint, we'll do a rolled paper flower in our design. Now, I will be working with, I do have some extra little tools here. I use these little wonder clips as I'm making things, if I'm using adhesive to kind of clip them together. So it keeps my hands free so I can talk about the next step or re-show something if I need to. But if you'd like to, these are just little wonder clips, or if you have paper clips or even binder clips are great to use. I have my Ultra Bond adhesive as well as some glue dots. So those will be the 2 adhesives I'm using, and we may even get out my hot glue gun, my Cricut hot glue gun for our rolled paper flower. And for paper, I'll be using Cricut's medium weight cardstock. And this is in the, I don't remember, the holiday sampler packet. So it has 24 sheets of 5 different colors. You can use any type of paper you would like to use. I do recommend, especially for this little bow, to use solid cardstock. I was playing around with it with some double-sided cardstock, and it totally works. You can do double-sided cardstock if you have that. But I kind of, it was easier to assemble. This one's our more complicated one. It was a bit easier to assemble just as a solid. So if you have a solid paper, you can use that. And if you have 8.5 by 11 paper, that's fine. You can use that as well. If you have a lighter cardstock, you can use that as well. I do not recommend anything over the medium weight cardstock for my little bow. My centerpiece just popped up. For our little bow, because it doesn't bend as well. But if you have like a glitter cardstock or something like that, you can definitely use that on this bow, or the shimmer cardstock would be super pretty to use on that bow as well. So to get started, I'll share my screen and we'll go into design space. Were there any questions before I jump? I'm going to grab my iPad so I can see the Q&A. Were there any questions before we get started? Katie, you maybe can tell me.
Yes, can you talk a little bit about the weights of the paper? I know you will, but there's a couple people who are interested in, a 60-pound lightweight, medium weight, 80-pound, all of that. So I know that you have a test that you do, so I don't know if you want to cover it now or if you'll get to that.
Yeah.
But we do cover that in this class for those asking. So
Yeah.
if it's not right now, we will get there.
You know what? I was going to pull it up later, but I can do that now while we do that.
Okay. And somebody was asking about your macrame on the back wall and if you use your Cricut to make it.
Everybody always asks about that. I did not. I actually purchased that. I wish I could take credit for making it, but I purchased it. Gosh, I don't even know, years ago I purchased it. So it's just some rings with macrame. So our paper test, Katie, thank you for the reminder. The paper test, we have a variety of different papers that you can use. When you cut your pattern out of your Cricut, it's important that you indicate what weight paper you're using so that you get the appropriate cut. So if your blade seems to be dragging on the paper or not giving you a very good cut, it may be because you don't have the right weight of paper indicated that you're using. So to know what weight of paper you're using is super helpful. This is my first example here, and this just happens to be patterned. It could be a solid color. Just because it's patterned doesn't mean it's this weight of paper. My test is I'll put my fingers behind the paper like this, hold it up, and I'll just kind of like hold it there. And if it flops and has this huge arc in it, this is a copy weight paper. So I can just even feel it. It's a little bit heavier than like your standard copy weight paper, but it's basically copy weight paper. So this is your copy weight paper, and it's very thin and it folds over very easily. And then you have a 65-pound lightweight paper, which again, I do the same test. I'll hold it with my 4 fingers and I'll hold it over. And this one bends pretty much right away. If I remove my finger support, it really does bend down, not as much as the copyweight paper, but it does certainly bend down. And then the 80 or 85-pound paper, when I hold it, again, 4 fingers, and you just give it that hold, it really holds that line. So I know that this is 80-pound paper. Now, it does have a little bit of flop in it. You can see it flops around. And even when I do the 4-finger test, it will flop a bit. But it doesn't. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you had chipboard or glitter cardstock, it's going to hold that line for you. So it doesn't like flop down. That's how you know the difference between the like heavier weight cardstock and the medium weight cardstock, which this is the medium weight. So just put your 4 fingers behind it, see how it does. If it bends down just a little bit, you're good, probably good to go medium weight. If there's no bend in it whatsoever, that's going to be a straight weight. Okay, so that's just kind of 2 things to know there. Trying to sign into Zoom here. Oh, let's see. This way I can be there too and answer your questions. See if I can get that on. Okay, so those are good questions. And as we are going into those classes, then when we go into the cutting, it'll work very well. Saying to switch. I don't want to switch accounts. See what happens. I don't want to lose me. Okay. So I'm in here. Oops. Sorry, guys. I just want to make sure I can see your questions as they're coming through. I think I just bumped myself out. Sorry, guys. I've had technical difficulties all morning today. I don't know, not really sure why I was having so many technical difficulties. All right, so I'm not going to be able to, I can't see the questions on the screen. So if Katie and Christine, if you guys wouldn't mind feeding those to me, that will be super helpful. All right, so let's go ahead. I'll share my screen. If you want to go ahead and jump into Design Space with me, we'll be able to locate the project and pull it up together. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we are going to go to Design Space. Make sure I've got. Okay, so when you pop into Design Space, you're going to want to make sure that you have a fresh canvas. So if you've been crafting this morning, go ahead and make sure you have a fresh canvas. And you know what, I think so funny, I changed my monitor so it would be really big so I could see everything, and then I changed it back. I should have left it that way. All right, so when we're here in the keyword search bar,
Hey, Coach, we lost your audio. Coach was having some audio issues before class. Oh, there you are.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So weird. I don't know what's happening. Okay. All right, let me try and share my screen again. I hope I can share my screen. I think that seemed to be what was causing the problem there. Let's try this again. All right. Am I there? Can you hear me?
We can.
All right. Well, let's hope this works. Okay. So when you're in here, we're going to do a search for this is already a project in Design Space. So we're going to do part of the project. We won't be doing the whole project, but it is called Pretty, what was it called? Pretty,
it is called, hold on.
I wrote it down.
Pretty Holiday Packages.
Okay. You know, it's crazy. You know, when one thing kind of gives you a hiccup, it seems like everything snowballs with that hiccup. So having my mic issues as we were getting prepared for this class has given me like a hiccup in my head, and I'm not thinking through everything clearly. Okay, so you're going to do a keyword search for pretty holiday packages. Now, you'll notice in the project section that there are a lot of projects available for you to work on. What we want to do is we're going to narrow our project choices down. This first project right here is indeed the one that we're going to be working with. So we'll want to click on that project. But if you don't see this project like I have on my screen here, I will show you how to narrow down your choices of the Cricut projects available to you. So once you've done the keyword search, pretty holiday packages, you want to do view all. Now, this will show you all of the projects that are related to the words pretty, holiday, and packages. So let's narrow that down. Up on the top of your header bar, where it says all projects, if you click the drop-down arrow, this is the filter. So we'll just select only Cricut projects, and you'll see it'll go.
Hey guys, it looks like Coach may have frozen again. So if you have any questions that you want to drop in the Q&A, whether it is relevant to this class or just Cricut in general, I can answer those live while we wait for her to pop back.
Katie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hear me. Okay, I'm having trouble sharing my screen. I think that's causing a problem. I don't know why.
Okay.
So while you're answering those questions, I'm just gonna try and fix that real quick. I apologize, guys.
All right, no problem. Actually, Victoria asked, how do you find the project on an iPad? And I happen to have one, Victoria, so I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to walk you through the process. Janice, this project should be free for everyone. I know that there was an issue with the flower being free, but we have substituted it with a different free flower. Let's see. Um, Cheryl, what device are you on? Are you on a computer or mobile device? For the Cricut only selection, there is a filter for that. It's available on all devices. Will we find all items for today in the pretty holiday packages? Everything except for that one flower, but we will provide that and show you how to do all of that. I'm not sure how long the projects are free for, but we have another class, this same class next Wednesday. So it will be at least free for that long. Medium or lightweight cardstock. You can use either. Okay, so on the iPad, if yours on the iPad, when you open it, go up to what are you looking for at the top, and we're going to type in pretty holiday packages and click enter and or search. And then well, it says all projects, and then over to the right, you'll see two lines with two circles. Click that, that's your filter. And then you do Cricut projects, and it should be the first one that comes up. So Victoria, if you have any issues or if you get it, please let me know. Cheryl, on your desktop, let me pull that up on my end. When you can go in, for me, what's easiest is go to like new project, and on your canvas, you have new templates projects. Click on projects and then type in pretty holiday packages there. And then you'll have the same filters. You'll have all projects on the right, and there's Cricut Access, Cricut Only Community Projects. Again, it should be the first one that comes up. So Cheryl, if you're still having issues, please let me know. Kelly, for the flower, we will be showing that separately. To find this project, just open the app, type in pretty holiday packages, and then if you need to filter, there's a little two lines and two circles on the upper right. That is your filter, and you can filter to Cricut only. It should come right up. Do you see the filter tab, Yasmin, for the Cricut only on your iPad? I just did it on mine live, so I know it's there. Let's see. No, Cheryl, I think you're in images. You want to be in projects. Okay, so make sure you are in projects. Your filters on the left mean you're in images.
Okay.
Are we ready, Coach?
I
Okay.
think so. I pulled up my laptop so I can share from there. Hopefully you can hear me and see me on one camera, and then I will use my laptop for the demonstration. So let me try that. I'm going to share my screen here. Thank you guys. And we do try and have this all ready for everybody before we get started, but sometimes, things happen. All right, so if everybody is ready to find our project, I'm going to go back and kind of start back at that spot where I was at the home screen, and I typed in pretty holiday packages. I love all the hearts. Thank you guys for all of your support. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to do that keyword search for pretty holiday packages. And when that comes up, you'll see again all those choices. And everybody may have a little bit of a different choice. So you're going to narrow that down by using filters. And we'll start by using the Cricut only filter. And if you still don't see that pretty holiday packages right there, what we'll do is keep the Cricut only filter on, but scroll down and click on that free filter. This project is free, so it will narrow it down for you even further. And you can see there's only 41 free projects that kind of coordinate with this. And I will point out while we're here, we won't be making this paper flower poinsettia because I wanted to show you how to do a rolled paper flower, but that one is free right there, that Leah Griffith paper flower poinsettia. So keep your eye on that one. That's a really pretty project. So, okay, so once you've got the, once you found the pretty holiday packages, you just click on it and information comes up about this project. You'll notice that it has the supplies you need, how to prep your supplies, what you need to cut, and how we're going to assemble our project. Now it's interesting because it doesn't really give you that much assembly information. So this class is super helpful in that way. We'll be making out of the, you'll notice there are 5 different types of package toppers within this collection. I chose the 3 that seem to be a little bit more complicated that might be helpful to do live. So we'll make this pom-pom topper. We're going to make this short bow topper, and we're going to make this topper bow. That was my favorite one. So go ahead and select customize. When you select customize, it will bring all of those elements onto your surface, onto your canvas. So everything is visible and you can see everything on there. Now, we won't be cutting all of these different patterns, so we can kind of hide some of them. On your layers panel to the right, the topper octagon doily, we will not be cutting that one in this workshop today. So go ahead and hide that layer. You can just close that out and hide that layer. We also won't be making the Rosetta topper, so you can hide that layer as well. So you can just kind of give that a little hide there. So then we'll be left with the short bow topper. We'll have the pom-pom topper, and at the top of our list, the topper bow. Now I want to pull up the topper bow because it's, I resized mine. So what I did was the actual size was really small. The first one I made, it was very small. It's beautiful, but it's a little bit smaller. It ends up being about 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches, which is about a standard bow size. But it's a little, as you're learning to make this, I found working with that small size was a little complicated. So I wanted to make it a bit bigger. So it's kind of hiding here. See at the bottom of my screen where my bounding box is around those pillars, if you will, the rectangles here. Let me make my screen a little bit smaller. Okay, so it's stacked on top of another layer. Now everything is grouped together, and you could just click on that layer, the topper bow, and move it to the side. All right. So once you have the topper bow selected, and you can select it in your layers panel over on the right side, it's the topper bow in the layers panel. If you're not really comfortable using your layers panel, I want to encourage you, we have our last 102 workshop ever next week. So I want to encourage you guys to take that workshop. Danny's teaching that. He's fantastic. And it'll give you a deep dive into the layers panel. Now, with this topper bow selected, and you can see I have that bounding box around just these rectangles here, I want to make this a little bit bigger. So I'm going to change my height in the edit bar to 8 inches. And by changing that to 8 inches, it will make it just a little bit bigger. Let's see, why isn't that changing it for me? I just am going to highlight it and, oh, because I'm on my wrong keyboard. I'm trying to get it to, okay, sorry. So I'm just going to change that to 8 inches and hit enter. And it just makes it a little bit bigger. You can go really big with this. I did find that a little bit harder, and I'm going to show you some tricks on how we can cut that a little bit differently. Now, if you're also comfortable changing your paper colors, I want to recommend to change this set while you have it selected to a different color. That way we'll put our mat through for each different flower, each different bow or topper we're going to make. And that way it'll be a little bit easier. So I'm just going to take my towers, my rectangles here, go up to my edit bar where the green box is. I'm just going to click on that, and you can change it to any color. I'll just change it to red, but you can change it to whatever color you like. Yeah.
Coach. So we have a couple people who are still struggling to find the project, but I just had a thought because we, are there score lines in this?
There are score lines in the project, in the patterns we're making. There are not score lines, but it also is not sized for your Cricut Joy or Joy Extra.
And that's the issue I think they're having. Can you just quickly show us how to change the machine family to help us find that project?
Yes, good suggestion, Katie. Thank you. So up in the top here on your header bar, you'll notice that you have your machine selected. So it automatically defaults to the machine that you have connected with your software. If you're on a Joy or a Joy Extra, try swapping your machine to the Maker or the Explorer, one of the bigger machines, to pull up the project. And then that way you can, when you hide those layers that we hid the layers on, those are the ones that require the scoring tool, and we're not going to use the scoring tool on our projects today. So you can just hide those layers, and then it should be able to go through, and then you may just have to resize it to fit onto your Cricut Joy. But none of these are attached, so it should automatically, cut them appropriately to fit on the Cricut Joy or Joy Express. Okay. Joy Extra, not Express. The Joy Extra.
All right, Coach, it looks like that was the issue, and everyone's finding me. I don't know. I didn't think of that before.
I know, it's like that. It's the hiccup. Today is a day of hiccups. I don't know why, but it is. So if you're just catching up with us, you're going to want to hide the topper octagon doily. You'll hide the rosette group, and that's it. And then, yeah, we're going to make the pom-pom, the short bow topper, and your topper bow, which I enlarged the size on that. I changed that to 8 inches. So if you're on 8.5 by 11 paper, you'll be able to cut that on your 8.5 by 11 paper. And our, the pom-pom topper, you'll also be able to cut that on your 8.5 by 11 paper as well. So let's go ahead and click make, and this will send it over to your machine. Now, the first one for me to cut will be the pom-pom. And then the next one for my machine to cut will be the bow topper. And then we also have the bow band will be the third one. So what I'm going to do is they're all going to be a medium cardstock for me. Everyone may have a little something different, but mine's going to be a medium cardstock. So I'm going to start off on the fringe on the pom-pom one. It looks like fringe. And I'm going to hit continue. So once I've got continue, I'm going to choose my medium weight cardstock because for me, I'm going to be using the same cards. Oh, I don't have this machine connected. All right. I'm going to stop share here, and I'll go to my other machine, my other computer where I do have it connected, but I can't share my screen with you guys. So let me just catch myself up. So what we're going to do is we'll do that. The fringe one first. It looks like a fringe, but we're going to roll that into the pom-pom design, which is super cute. And then we have the bow topper, which is my red, and then my other bow, which is my my green one. So I'll do all those different sizes. Oops, let me get it right. 8 inches. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and make it on this machine. Now we're going to go to, I'm going to switch back over on my phone here. All right, sorry guys. I'm telling you, those hiccups are killing me. There's a co-host. I'm gonna just switch this one, make sure we're on.
That's okay, Coach. I can answer some questions while you're taking care of that. I hope everyone realizes that on the back end, we might be the experts, but we go through this too. So, so just to keep this in mind, you guys are not the only ones if you experience issues. It is
That's true. That's a
also us.
that is a very fair, valid point. We are all learning. Okay. Let me replace my spotlight with my overhead. All right, so here we are on the overhead. And I get a little closer here. And you guys would laugh so hard. I'll have to show you, maybe if we have time at the end of the class, how I have this camera rigged up. It truly cracked me up this morning as I was getting it set up. Okay, so with my paper, I have my cardstock. So my first design I'm going to cut is the little fringy flower. So that one was black on my Cricut Access. So I will use, I think maybe I'll do a little white one, I think there's a really pretty cream color in here. So you have all these really beautiful colors in this collection. I've made so many different projects with these colors. It's such a great one. Now I am using my light grip mat because it is, because it's, now why is it like that? Okay, and I think you just lost, did we just lose me again?
And I can see your overhead.
Okay, good.
And what you're doing. The other ones show just your photo, but
that's okay. I'll figure that out when we get there.
that's all right, Coach. You're doing great, and everyone says the same, so.
Yep. All right. So I've got my fine point blade in. I don't have to worry about any type of scoring or anything like that. So I just put my fine point blade in, and we're going to go ahead and get that cut. Now, as that's cutting, I'm thinking about what my next layers are going to be. So my next layer is the red layer, which is the your bow band, if you will. It'll be this project right here. So I'm going to go ahead and use red for my next mat. And if you have multiple mats, you can set up your mat so that you're ready to cut. And then my last one is this little cutie bow here. So fun. And I'm going to do this. I think I'll do this one in the turquoise this time. So I'll have the turquoise as my next material to cut. So I like to always get everything prepped up and ready to go as I'm going through. And I'm gonna have to figure out. Oh, so Melissa, the topper bow, I resized my topper bow to about 8 inches. This is even a little bit bigger. The great thing about it was you can resize it a lot of different sizes. So you can go really big if you wanted to, or really small. The trick as we go bigger, we will design from the center to the out. And you'll see why if we just design on the outside in, it got really big. So I needed to design it from the inside out. I know that Lindsay says, is that a specialty pack of paper? I love that color. Lindsay, me too. The color combos are so fun. It's the Cricut Sampler Holiday Package. My camera, I think it's upside down or something. And I don't really know how to fix it. So so it is the sampler holiday package that I'm using. And it's 12 by 12. They do have, Cricut does also offer cardstock in 12 inches by 24 inches. So you could always go really big if you wanted to. The finished size is this little one here in my hand. This is the size that was in the project. And it measures about 2.5 inches when it's done, maybe more about 3. So if I kind of hold it like that, it goes to 2.5 inches there. So we're gonna make it a little bit bigger because it's a little tricky to fold. When you're using your strips, what we're gonna do is create like a figure, like an infinity circle. So we're gonna use our strips and we'll take one side and bring it in, and we're going to do this lots of times because it was really tricky. So you're going to take one side and bring it into the center, but before you glue it, you have to take this end piece and flip it over, and then you glue that side down, and then we're taking this side and basically doing the same thing. You fold it over and then flip it to marry that seam. So you'll end up making this infinity shape like this. And as you get, since it's bigger and as you move your way out, you'll have a little bit of space in between there that will bring that out a little bit. Let me grab this. I can't tell you how many times I've made this bow and how many different times I've had to change it around to get it to go the right way. So I'm putting this here so I can show you how you will fold your bow will meet up. So keep cutting, keep working, and we will go over this again and again and again. So you're going to take your strip, and I'm just putting this here so you can see the color difference. You'll fold your bow to work, like if you were to do a normal, little bow, you might just bring your 2 center points in like that, and that would be a cute little bow. For this one, what we need to do is we're going to create like an infinity circle. So we're going to bring it to the center, and instead of gluing it down like that, we're going to flip that piece over, and it will glue this way. And then we'll do the same thing on this other side. We'll flip that over to match. So you're basically, you're going to be gluing down. It's really hard to hold it here and show you, but we're going to be gluing down. So see how it makes like an infinity kind of design there? That's how it's going to, we're going to have to glue it down. And it takes a while. Once you get it, you'll have it, you'll be like, oh, I can't believe I struggled with that so much. All right, I always flip my mat over and I remove my design from my mat. Now, I did it this way specifically because I wanted to make sure I could hold that solid piece down as it comes off, and it'll come off like a little feather there. And then the next piece is the same way. You just want to kind of hold that down and let it come off. I always turn my mat upside down when I remove my paper, because your paper, if you just were to pull your paper off of your mat, it would curl. So I always turn it upside down and remove it on the mat like that. Now, if you cut these out of black, you have some really fancy long eyelashes there to work with. Okay, so that is our fringe one, and then our next one will be so once you got it cut, just go ahead and set that aside, and don't worry if you happen to tear or like I bent that, that's okay. Once we roll it all up, you won't even notice. So just set that aside, and then if you're ready to do your next cut, go ahead and cut that through. This will be, again, this is the bow strap, I guess, I don't know, or bow ribbon thing. Okay, so we're going to put that in like that. All right. I think I figured out my problem, one of my problems. Sorry, I'm taking this off to see if I can get this working right, going the right direction. All right, here we go. Now I'm just going to go ahead and be cutting that. Here we go. Is that better? That's better. You know, I had my USB, I think I solved my problem. I had my USB plugged into my computer to keep my phone charged. And I think that is what kept causing my, it kept misfiring. I think that was the problem. So, I'm going to read this question out loud, Katie, so don't hit enter while you're typing your answer. Any general tips about working with cardstock? I've not had a chance to practice with it, but worry about breaking my machine. I know you can pick according to weight in the settings, but you have stories where it didn't work and things like that. So here's the great thing about your machine. I have done so much with my machine that I like kind of sometimes go like, oh, that shouldn't have done that. Thinking I will break it. They're very, not saying you can't break them, because you can. I mean, they are a machine. It's an electronic device, so it can break. But if you're generally using craft materials and you're applying them to your mat, you're making sure that your cardstock is adhered to your mat, meaning like it not adhered with tape or anything like that, but just using a wedge or a brayer to make sure it's not going to wiggle around on your mat. It's going to be very hard for you to break your machine. Not to say it doesn't happen, and not to say people don't do crazy things with their machines that they go, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But I want to, you have to be willing to try things, and just see what happens. So if you're like, I wonder how this material will work, I wonder how that material will work, you have to be willing to try those different materials, the different settings, and see what works. I will often cut a test cut if I'm cutting a new material that I haven't used before. I'll just do like a little test cut of that material to make sure that it's going to cut appropriately. And then I just, if it doesn't cut, then I go back in and I look at my settings. But you can also put in your own settings in the software. So if you're trying a material like you haven't used before, you can put in a different setting. So there's lots of different ways that you can work with your materials and your machine.
And Coach Melissa just said she has the very first Cricut Explorer from like 10 years ago. She's done all kinds of crafting on it, and it's still going strong.
Exactly. I mean, it really, I can't say they're indestructible, because I'm sure you could do something that would damage your machine. But in general, I have not broken my machine. I have gotten sometimes you'll get a piece of paper jammed in there, maybe if you haven't put your mat in right, or your paper isn't cutting right and it'll like kind of fold up on itself. I have had that happen. I've had the light on my machine turn red, and I just turn off my machine. I carefully remove my mat and any material that's stuck, and I carry on. So don't be afraid to use your machine to its fullest capabilities. That's what these machines are for. They're really to make your crafting life more enjoyable, more fun, allow you to do things maybe that you wouldn't have normally tried, and really try something new. Okay, so this will be the first one that we'll put together, and it's really straightforward and simple. I shouldn't say simple. It's very straightforward.
Hey, Coach.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking about the fern on your table.
Yep. So
and if it was a Cricut project.
I'm gonna hold on. I think I'm not sure how to get my front facing camera back. I'll show you. That is not a Cricut project. It's from IKEA. It's just a fake plant, but it's hiding something on the other side there that you could see in the camera angle. So it's just hiding something. Okay, so once you've cut your different pieces, I like to lay my pieces out as I'm getting ready to do something. So I just can kind of lay everything out and say, okay, I've got my top bow is cut out here. That's going to be that design. I've got my pom-pom cut there, and my other bow is cut right here. Now we will have one more project to go in and cut, and we'll do that one last. Okay, so basically your bow, this is designed to go around a package. And you'll notice on the back side here, I used a glue dot, and it's about like a 1/2 inch size glue dot, but I kept it on the plastic backing because I wanted to, when I went to go put this on a package, I would have my adhesive right on there. So I can just peel this piece off and put it right on a package. So that's why I did that. You can even put ones on this end here, so as you wrap it around, it's ready to go. So I'm just going to take a little glue dot. If you don't have a glue dot, you could use like a little scrap of material or something to work as your center. And by scrap of material, I mean literally take a piece of material that we just cut and just give yourself a little square. So you can just cut like a little square here like this. And we're going to go ahead and glue our bow ends onto that and create your base.
Hey, Coach.
Yeah.
Where did you find the glue dot strips?
Michael's. I found those at Michael's. They come in a box like this, and it says glue dots. I've seen these at like other stores like Walmart. I've seen them at Target may even have them. I know you can get them online, probably online. Okay, so I'm not gonna use my little square there because I have my glue dot. I'm just gonna use the glue dot, and I'll just put half of my bow on one side and the other half on the other side. And then I'll set this aside. So you just line up your little points here, and we'll set those aside. So this will be the base for our bow. Now, this part here that looks like a pair of sunglasses, this is actually the bow part here. So you'll have this is your base, and that's the little ribbon part, and then you'll have your actual bow part. And this is really easy to make. We're just going to take each end and bring it to the center. What you want to do is line up the curves here with the curve here. So as you bring this over, don't fold it. It's just going to be like a bend, and you'll just get it to the point where these edges line up. So you don't want it too far, because then you'll have a little bit of the other side showing there, and you don't want it too far this way, because then it won't match up properly. So you're just going to end up doing it right so that each of these sides here match up with the sides on the other side. And for this, I just will use my glue, and I'll grab my little clip. So my first one, I'll put it just a little bit down, not too much. And then I'll take my end and just fold it up and over. So it'll be like that. And we'll do the same thing with the other side. And just, again, I'm holding it with my hand, and then I'll put a little adhesive on this side here. And I'll pull this over. Now, our tab part here will be covered. So when you flip it back over this way, you won't see those seams. So it's okay to give yourself plenty of, overlap, and let that, you'll have that seam there, but that's okay. You guys see that seam? That's okay to have that seam there. Okay. So just give it like, I really like this glue because it does dry pretty quickly and you don't have to hold it too long. Once you've got your bow clipped together, we'll go ahead and you can do one of two things here. At this point, you could put your finishing piece on it and just put that over here and then attach that onto the backing. I like to put these two together and then attach my cover bow, my cover ribbon, I guess, if you will. Now, and also think about other materials that you can cut this out of and make these kinds of bows. You could use fabric and bond and do some fabric bonding with this. And speaking of fabric, did you guys know Cricut has a fabric Facebook group? So any of our sewers or quilters, anything like that, you can join that group. But you could do this out of felt if you wanted to. You could do it out of marine vinyl. Lots of different materials are very fun to cut out with this. You could do different colors. So if you wanted to do more of a gradient, have the ribbon be one color, your bow be another color, you could cut these out and have them ready to go. You could make really big bows if you wanted to. You could make them smaller. Felt, did I mention felt already? That's a great option. Okay, so now for this, what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over and put a little adhesive on the back. So I'll just put a little strip of adhesive on the back. And I'll take my ribbon, my centerpiece, we'll attach that to the back there, just hold it in place, kind of center that, and then it wraps around the front and it will go back to the back again. So you're just going to kind of wrap it, and you don't want it to be tight, like let it kind of come up a little bit, and it'll have a little bit of space there. Can you see that space in there? So it's not tight against my bow. It's got a little bit of just a little fold. It gives a little dimension. So again, you'll put just a little dab will do ya on the back. Is that a cookie, a dab will do ya? Something my mom used to say to us. I don't know why. I don't know why she would say that. A little dab will do ya. And then we'll just hold that. Now this one I will hold in place because I don't want to squish my centerpiece. I want that to be nice, nice and long. And you can either use like a weeding tool or your any kind of tool just to hold that down. It's all got your adhesive in it. If you didn't want to have to hold it, you could use a hot glue gun. You could use your glue dots and glue this together that way. However, whatever works most comfortable for you. All right, and then once you've got that glued, all you have to do is put it on the centerpiece here, and we are done with our first bow. See how easy that was? And you have so many options. I just added a little, some little seed pearls to mine. You could do your centerpiece. You could do like this and this little bow out of gold, the gold cardstock, the gold glitter cardstock. That'd be so cute. But now see, it's not quite dry yet, so I don't want to be too sassy with it. But see, you've got that nice bend there. And we've got that going. I'm just going to hold that for another second or so. All right, so if you're still working on that bow, don't worry, keep working on it. I am going to move us on to the next bow because that does take a little bit of setup time. So I want to make sure that, and it's a little bit repetitive, so I want to make sure we have enough time and everything to work on the next bow. The next bow that we're going to do is the our little strips here. So with your strips, let me pull the, I'll put this one up here and we'll move that one there. Okay. So with your strips, you should have 3 different sizes. You'll have 2 of the big one. You should have 3 of the medium one and 3 of the small one, I think. Oh, sorry. 3 big, 3 medium, 2 small, and 1 ribbon centerpiece. Now, the first one is easy. We're going to take our ribbon centerpiece and you're just going to make a circle. So you'll put a little adhesive on one end here. And we're just going to fold that over and adhere that into a little circle. So it's just a little circle like that. Again, if you have a little binder clip or paper clip or something, you want to adhere that together, then you don't have to hold it in your hands. But that's the first step. It's just making that circle clip. And then we're going to set that aside. Now, the way that these pieces will come together, you'll have 3 different layers. And the reason I say we're going to start in the middle and work our way out is you can get, it can get kind of tight in here. So I'm going to start with just these first 2 smaller layers, and we're going to create those infinity designs on these smaller layers. So with the infinity design, again, I have my paper here so you guys can see. Let me see if I can slide these out of the way. All right, so I've got my paper here. Don't forget that what we're going to do is, if you want to watch a few times, that's fine. It might help you get comfortable with it. But it really is something that you have to get your hands on and see it. So my first strip is about 6 1/4 inches. So 3 1/8 is going to be my middle. So I'll just kind of get 3 1/8 inch here and mark it with my finger. The first side, whichever side you're comfortable with, we're going to fold it in, kind of like how we folded this bow in. We're going to do that. But this side here, you can put a little dab of glue on there. And then we're going to take that side and flip it over so that that sits down on your cardstock about at the center. And if you want to just put a little clip on that or hold that and set that down and do the same thing with the second piece. So I measure about 3 1/8. I'm going to bring it in just like I folded this bow in. It's just going to go in like that. So if you look at the top, it'll look like this. We'll put a little dab of glue on the back. And then we're going to flip that over like this. And it flips just like that. And then we can just put our little clip on there and let it dry. Now, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and do that on the rest of them. The reason I'm not doing that, I'm going to wait until I get to those, is when we put our next piece back, when we do the next piece, these we're going to match up our seams. So where your paper did the ending there, we're going to do the same thing on the other side and flip it to match that line. So you're going to bring it in. So you hold it in your hand, whichever, and again, you can go either way. So if you're more comfortable bringing it right to your left hand or left to your right hand, it doesn't matter either way. You're going to fold it like we folded the first bow to make that like little bow clip there. Put a little dab of adhesive on the end. And then we're just going to flip that and match those seam lines up. And this will be your first infinity design. And it doesn't have to be exactly like if there's a little bit of a gap there, that's okay. Don't stress about it. Nobody's going to see that. So nobody will see the inside. We're going to cover up our seams. Nobody's going to see it. They'll never know. So so again, I'm holding the one that we've already glued in one side. I'll take my ribbon, my paper ribbon, turn it in like we did the first one. I put a little dab, and I do the glue here to remind me which end I need to glue down. So you'll have it like that. We'll take that end that has the adhesive on it and glue that end down. Don't worry if it doesn't match up exactly perfectly. It's okay. We just want the in general infinity design. If you're getting creases in your cardstock, when you flip it over like this, that you will get a little bit of a crease at the end of your tips, and that's okay. But you just want to be a little bit more gentle and not fold it. Honestly, I did about 5 or 6 of these bows before I got comfortable doing it with a gentle fold on it. And yes, so Susan, just to touch back on this, the glue dot on this bow, I did put that there so that when I'm ready to put it on a package, I don't have to go hunting for anything. I can just remove that little plastic piece and then it'll go right down on my package. Or if somebody in my family's using it, it'll go right back down for them as well. You can, that's where instead, if you didn't have a glue dot, you can just use either the same color or a different color on the back. But I just found it easier if you have something there that you could then use that to put it onto your package. Made it a little bit easier. Okay, once you feel like these have dried sufficiently, what we're going to do is put these two together. So the first two, we only have 2 for these, so it's really easy. We just make a cross. So one will go horizontal and the other will go vertical. So here's my horizontal, and then I'm just put a little glue on there, and there's my vertical. And then again, you can use your little clip if you want to hold that together. Your center bow will fit right into the center of this, and that's how that's going to go on there. I'm not going to put my center bow on until the end when I've got it all glued together. While that piece right there is drying, I can go to my next length of strips and do the same design. We're going to do the same infinity. Now, the difference with these, I would go ahead, we'll find our center. So my center is about 3.5 now. And I'm going to go ahead and do the first side of each of these. And then we'll put it up against your bow, because you may find it needs to spread out a little bit on the bow. If I were to make this one just like this, it may not give enough room for the bow to spread out. Actually, I'm going to make sure I do that right there. I'm going to give a little extra room there, and I can overlap if I need to. But I can also, this allows you to kind of give yourself a little gap if you need to on your design. So we'll just put a little adhesive on the back, bring it in, and flip it over. And as you do more of these bows, it really does it becomes second nature. So there's my second one there. And then I'll do one more of my third one. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and do the same step on your long bows if you're ready to do that, or you can just do them as you go along. So that one's going to go right on there. Okay. So once you have those and you can set those aside and they can keep drying. And I know you guys, you may be still struggling getting that infinity design, and that's okay. Because like I said, it took me quite a while to get it to go perfect as I was working on them. So it does take a while just to get comfortable with how to fold them, how to remember how to fold them. It might take a couple tries at doing that. Now with this next size, we'll have 3 of this size. So it does kind of bunch in a little bit. If you had just 2 of them, obviously you'd put 1 at each corner here and crisscross them. But we have 3, so they'll overlap a little bit. And what that overlap does is it sort of pushes your bow pieces inside a little bit. So the reason I held off on doing my other infinity piece is I want to make sure, put it in, turn it over, that I have enough room for my bow to fit in the center and still be tight, but not too tight. So you're going to want it to sit in there and kind of hug it, but not squeeze it. So it looks like we're good to go with just marrying those sides up again. So we'll just carefully and slowly do the second set of infinity symbols. We'll finish those off, and those will start to build our bow up. And don't forget, like, if you want to, you can always make your strips bigger or smaller. I made them bigger because I felt like, I know my fingers are a little bit, I don't know, my fingers aren't like slim. So I like to work in a little bit bigger size. So this time I am putting it on the ribbon itself, just where I want it to match up. So I just put that strip there. You turn it, bring it into that fold and turn it. And again, don't worry if it doesn't match up perfectly, it doesn't have to. While those are drying, you can go ahead and start working on your longer pieces. I'm just going to set these 3 here. I've got my double and my single. And then I have 3 more to go. Again, you find the center. It's going to be about 4 inches. Put a little bit of adhesive on the back side. And hold your centerpiece. Fold it up. Like, don't fold it, but, bring it over and rotate it. And just put your little clip on there. These Wonder clips, I use these all the time. I can't say enough how much I use the little Wonder clips. I use them when I'm sewing. I use them when I'm using my Glowforge or sublimation or any of that kind of jazz. I just am always clipping things together with them. It helps my hands be free. So whatever clips you might have handy, feel free to use those. If you have paper clips or kids' hands, and be like, here, hold this. As long as they're clean. So we're just going to bring it in and let it fold. All right. And again, if you are at a different stage on your cutting or your ribbon making, don't worry. This class is being recorded, so you'll be able to go back and watch it. Okay, so I've got those 3 done. And now we're ready to come back here. Again, I'm not going to put my centerpiece in yet. These 3 the middle ones, we've got 3 of those. Oops. And these we'll want to put together. And they kind of will squish in a little bit on each other because you don't have enough room to do them. Let me put that one back in. Put a little more adhesive there, my clip back down, good to go. So I'm going to bend and bend it like that. Okay. Let me just let that dry a little bit longer. When we put these on, so if you put one down, you can put one at like 12 to 6 o'clock, and then you need to put another one between 2 and 8, and then you'll need to put another one at like 4 to 11. So the first set we did like 12 and 6 and 3 and 9. So these we just need to angle them a little bit differently and do 2 to 8 and then 4 to 11. So these are nice and glued down. I'm just going to put a little dab in the middle, and I'm going to set this one down about 2 to 8 o'clock. So when I say that, one tip would be at like 2 o'clock and one bottom tip would be at 8 o'clock. And then you can clip those and hold those, or we'll just add our next piece on there. And this one we want to put at about 11 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And then again, sometimes I have to go in and hold it, but you just want to let that hold together and let that dry. All right, I'm not seeing very many questions pop up right now. So either everybody's working or I'm guessing everybody's working. I think everyone's got their hands full. So once you feel like this is just dried enough that you can put your next layer in. See how it kind of, when you look at it from the side, the pieces kind of squeeze in. So when we put our middle piece in, it's going to squeeze in still, and we want it to do that. So go ahead and put a little dot of adhesive on the back of your small piece here. And we're going to set that in. And the good thing about using glue at this point, I think, is you can still mush it around a little bit if you need to. So as you work it in, you can just kind of place it how you want it to go. Adjust it if you need to. I think I'm going to adjust it a little bit more like that. There we go. Okay. And then once you have it, sorry, you can't really see it. My hands are a little bit in the way, but we're going to put it together like that. And if you can get your clip in there, great. If not, just hold it for a second. You could also, if you're using felt, you could sew this together if you wanted to with a thread and a straight needle. So when, yeah.
We had a request that you repeat the clock positions.
Yes. So when you're working with 3 pieces that you have to layer together, like if you're doing 2 pieces, you can layer those together in, like if this is your clock. Can you see that? That's too light. Let's see if I can, let me grab a thicker pen to draw this out. So if you're working, well, that's a thin one. Another thin one. Goodness gracious. Okay, here's a thicker one. If you're working, when you're working in like a clock, if you're working with 2 pieces, you can just put it like this. So you have one edge pointing at 12, one at 6, one at 3, and one at 9. When you're working with 3 pieces, it's a little bit different. So you'll put one at 12 and 6. Then you'll need to go at an angle this way, and this would be like 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock about. And then you'll go this way, and this will be about 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock. So that gives you, you know, that's just a general rule of thumb that I use when I'm putting multiple layers of things, odd numbers together. I'll do it that way. If it's even numbers, obviously you just go 12, 6, 3, 9, switch it and do the same thing. So now for this last layer, again, you want to eyeball it. We're going to make our infinity loops again, but you want to make sure that your infinity loops aren't too tight on your bow. So if you want to just kind of temporarily hold one in place, got a little clip in here, just to hold it in place. When I put my bow on there, is that going to be too tight? If you think it's going to be too tight, just give your infinity bow a little bit more room by, instead of marrying your line right up next to each other and touching, give a little space between those lines. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive, but I'm going to give it a little bit, about a 1/4 of an inch distance between the 2 edges there. So I have a little bit of about 1/4 of an inch distance there between those 2. And I'm going to let those dry, and we'll do the same thing on each of these layers. Give yourself about a 1/4 of an inch where your other ribbon ended. Keep calling it a ribbon because you can make this same kind of design using ribbon. If you don't want to use cardstock, or you could use material, anything like that. So doing the a little bigger allows, your bow's going to be a little bit bigger, but it also just won't have to be so tight. And I think that makes it a little bit easier. So we're just going to make those last infinity loops. Isn't it looking so good? Like, doesn't it look like a store-bought bow already? Just even with just that, I mean, even with just those layers, it's so cute. And then we'll do the same thing. So once you feel like your bows are dry enough, you'll put one at 12 and 6. You'll put one at 4 and 10, and one at 2 and 8. And we'll glue all those together. So I'll go ahead and put a little bit of adhesive on the back here. I don't really recommend using the glue dots at this point because they're kind of thick. And they'll make your bow feel a little bit thick. So I like to just use the glue. Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for sizing the bows for larger packages? And Nicole said it's gorgeous.
What do you mean for sizing it for larger packages? You just would make your strips bigger. So like you can even go use the 12 by 24 inch paper and make your strips really that big. You could just make your whole project that big and make just a huge bow. And then I would again start in the center of the bow, like how we did. We started with the smaller pieces and worked our way out. And as we were able to work our way out, we gave ourselves enough room for the bow to fit in. So you want to make sure that your layer is going to fit inside your last bow. Normally we work from the center of a flower to the outside of a flower. So this time I did a little bit differently. Now I'm just going to put my last piece in there together. I've got my 3. Oops. Oh, did I go too soon? I went too soon. That's okay. Let me just reconstruct that back, and then I'm grab my bow. Work that into the center. You do kind of have to work it in there because, like I said, it hugs your layers hug each other. But that should work, and you should just be able to kind of work your finger in there and hold it in place. So we'll just hold that right there for just a second or so. And then the last step will be our little centerpiece there. So Susan, whenever you increase the size of a project in Design Space, like this type of project, I would do it proportionately. So if you're changing, if you want your, bigger bow loops, if your bows are going to be bigger, I would change the whole design proportionate to, so if you change the width, you also want the height to change. And absolutely. So who's saying this? Tommaso is saying you can even line the centers with washi tape for a layered ribbon look. Absolutely. You could use crepe paper and have like a really soft finish to it. Last little piece here. I'm just going to take my center, put a little adhesive on the center. You could take white cardstock and do stamps if you're a stamper and stamp on there. Okay, now I'm just going to take my sticker, my pin there, and stick it in there and stick all that together. This last little piece is always hard to get in there. I'm going to go in through the side, I think. Nope, I guess not. You just have to kind of hold it together and let the glue dry. There we go. All right. The little guy does not want to stick in there. Maybe you put the washi tape, I'm not washi tape, but a glue dot on that last one to get it to stick. This is my quilling tool that I'm using. We'll use this for our fringe. All right, so there's your bow. So we enlarged this to 8 inches wide, and now our bow, so this was the size that it came into the project. And then when we enlarged it to 8 inches, we went up to about a 4-inch by 3-inch bow. So we did get it up, almost doubled our size. This one is 2.5, and this one is 3. So 2.5 to, let's say, 3.25. So you can see, you can really get bigger bows. And as you change the width of your bow, the height of the bow will also change. I mean, the height of your ribbons will change. So you can see, since I enlarged it proportionately, my strips definitely got bigger. And I have this one here. I think this one's even thicker. Yeah, this one was another one I was working on. And it was even thicker. So if I were to do this bow, I think I did these 11.5 inches. Just to see how big a big bow would get. So if I were using 12 by 12 inch paper, the largest your bow could go would be 11.5 inches, like that. But you could, if you wanted to, go really big and take your strips, instead of making that infinity loop, you just take 2 of the same size strips and you make your own infinity loop like this. Let's see, those aren't the same size. Okay, so let me show you how, if you wanted to make a really big one and you didn't have long enough paper, you would just take 2 of your strips. We'll take one and make it into like a little loop like this. This reminds me of like the Hot Wheels. I don't know if you guys have little kids that played, or if you played with Hot Wheels racetracks. When I ever do it, I do this shape that reminds me of the Hot Loops racetracks. So we'll do one like that. And I'll do the other one the same way. So we're just bringing our ends together to create that design. And we're making our own infinity loop here. So you'll have 2 of these, and then we'll put these 2 together with just in the centers. We'll line up our squares here. And now you've made a super big infinity loop. So you would just do that format. I don't know if that actually is the same way. Did I do that the same way? I guess I did. Doesn't look quite as pointy as that one. I'm not sure what I did wrong. Bring this in. Oh, there. No, that is the same way. Yep. Okay. So that I guess it's just a smaller piece. I mean, a bigger piece. So it's your ribbons aren't as pointy as these are. But that's all you have to do. And then you can just, again, make it bigger and bigger and bigger. So you do 2 of your first one. So you have 2 of the small ones, 3 of the medium, 3 of the big. And then you're ready to go. You can just stack those up same way. I don't have enough of these cut to keep making this, but that would be super fun. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone is loving the Wonder Clips. I did put a link in the chat, and it's a set where you get both the small ones, like you get a mix of the small ones and a mix of the large ones. So I think that's a great one to purchase.
Yes.
I'm gonna buy it later too.
I tell you, I will say I got my small ones last year. Somebody gifted them to me, one of my lovely family members, and it came in this cute little tin. So my little ones are in this little tin, which I think people in my family use these clips too, because this used to be full. And so my other jar used to be full, and they've disappeared over the year, but that's okay. All right, so that we've done now 2 bows. You should have your gift wrap bow and your layered bow there. And then the second one, the third one we have is the fringe bow. The fringe bow. So this is a pom-pom bow, and this really does look really cool if you use some felt and cut it out of felt. It looks really neat. I have a quilling tool here, and a quilling tool is has like a little round piece on the end with a slit in the center. And basically what you do is you line your paper up with the slit. So your paper goes in between that slit. Let me see here. Your paper will go in between your slit. Like that. So it'll go in between either way. And then you just bring it to the end. like this. Now, if you don't have a quilling tool, you can use a bobby pin. You could just use your fingers. You don't have to have a quilling tool to do this. You can also, before you roll it, you could take your scissors and kind of fringe, or even just your wedge tool, take it and kind of brush out your fringe here a little bit, so it kind of curls to the outside, just like you would curl paper. But you have to be careful because you don't want to tear the fringe off the base. If one piece comes off, that's okay. You're fine losing one or two fringes. It's not going to hurt your overall look. No one would be able to tell. You'll just be upset with yourself. So don't worry about it. If you get a little aggressive with it, get comfortable pushing it back. You can use a butter knife. You don't have one of these wedge tools. You could use a butter knife. You could use the edge of your table. You could use the edge of your cutter. But basically, you just want to kind of make it look like eyelashes, like fake eyelashes, almost like a hippopotamus. And then I'll just do, we have 2 pieces of this, so I'll do the same on the second. This. All right, we're almost the end here. And I can just go back where I missed 1 or 2, just go back and add that little curl to those. So do you have to do this? Absolutely not. You can, you'll be able to fluff it out at the end, and we'll see the difference. I have one here that is only a single layer, and I didn't do this with it. Okay, so now I just take my my quilling tool, I slide the paper in the middle of my quilling tool, and I'm going to curl it so that the pom-pom comes out. And I'm just doing it loosely. You don't want this to be super tight. That's why you can do it just in your hands. You want to. And you're just basically rolling it back on itself. You take out the quilling tool, and I do like to add a little bit of adhesive as I go along to kind of hold the form. The downside to doing that is that you can't later go back and kind of pull part of it up. So keep that in mind as you're doing it. You may want to like roll it so that it gets longer. That makes sense. Or just not add the adhesive until you're done with it. These are also really fun on drink stirring sticks for drink decorations. If you like for New Year's, wouldn't these be fun out of some shimmer paper? And just kind of fluff it as you go along so that you're making sure everything doesn't seem to be lining up exactly, so that you don't get the same pieces laying on top of each other. And then we'll just add another little dab of glue. So this is one layer here. And this is one layer. This one I fringed out before we started, and this one I didn't. So this is a cute little tassel. I'd probably put like 2 of these on a package and make it look like a tassel. This is like a party popper to me. This says Happy New Year's. And as you can see, I can just pull up the center and sort of make it go longer. This is all the same height. This one I can just pull up the center a little bit and bring it up higher. And I just am holding onto that, and then we'll just add on the second piece. Again, start with a little adhesive there where it's going to match up. Make it so your fringe is facing to the outside, and we'll just start wrapping it. I kind of think just one is enough personally. But I'm doing it, see how I'm kind of overlapping that a little bit on the end? Just so it's not too much. So we're just gonna bring that down a little bit. And then to put it onto a package, I would hot glue this to just a base, a circle or something like that, and then add a little glue dot to it so it can go right on the top of the package if you wanted to. But again, I love the drink stirring stick. This has like Las Vegas showgirl feels to me. And you can pull it, oops, I don't want to pull that out. Maybe a little more adhesive in there. Just put a little more on there, stick that in, and just go like that. There we go. Look at how fun is that? Does it remind anybody else of Beaker from the Muppets? I'm just holding this for a minute or so while the glue dries. Again, you can use your Wonder Clips and just hold it right there. But look how cute is that? And right on top of a package. It'd be so cute. So there are 3 out of our 4 bows done. The 4th one is a rolled flower design. Now, I did mention that there was the poinsettia. So before I go back into design space and we go find that the 4th flower, I want to show you the poinsettia design. We did this one, I think we did this one last year. And on this white cream color, I just chalked the edge a bit with an ink pad. To give it a little bit of dimension there. But this is this is just on a ring and I can hang it like a wreath. So it's a very fun, simple decoration to make. The poinsettia ring, the poinsettia flower is really beautiful. And you just have to add a little score line in the middle of each leaf and that gives it the dimension there too. Okay, so on to the last one. Why don't I pause a moment and give everybody a chance to ask any questions that you have or anything like that. We got all the questions.
We've had so many great ones, Coach. Let me see if I can pull up. Somebody's asking about the project number for the poinsettia. I know we did it last year. I'm checking my notes and I will find it and drop the link in the chat for you guys if it's still available.
When we looked for the design in, okay, wait, can you guys, are you still seeing my overhead?
No, we can see you now.
Okay, all right. If you do the design, for when we found this project, the poinsettia was right there next to it. So if you do like, what did we look for this? Pretty
holiday packages.
Pretty holiday packages and filter it with free, the poinsettia bow will show up again.
Let's see. Goodness, where am I? Oh. Can you do the poinsettias in crepe paper?
Oh yeah, that'd be beautiful.
That would be beautiful. Mm-hmm. Madeline is asking about the difference between an air and a maker.
Oh, so you're new to Cricut. So Madeline, the difference between the air and the maker, and I'm glad you bring that up with crepe paper. Crepe paper uses the rotary cutter to cut. So you do need to have the maker to cut the crepe paper. The maker has more tools to put in it. And it has a little bit more power, so it cuts a little bit stronger, and you can cut more materials with your maker than you can with your Explore machine because of the extra tools and the power that's in there. Good question. All right, why don't I go ahead and I'll share my screen, going back into design space. We'll share the screen. I turn it. Let's see. Okay, let me go back into the home screen here. So this is the, when you do the search for pretty holiday packages, the poinsettia design shows up. So you can just do that right there if you want to do the poinsettia. So let's get back. I'm going to do a new project. I'll replace what I have on my screen. And for this one, I'm just going to look in images. So when you look in images, we're going to do rolled flower. And again, we'll filter the images down. There are so many different images that are available to you, and you can really choose any of these different images. We're going to filter down to free images. And this first image here that pops up for the rolled flowers, that's the one we're going to do. I'm just double checking. You can see the pom-pom is here and our bow. So if you did rolled flowers, you would also see those. There's the bow we made, and the pom-pom design is right there. And we're going to scroll up to this rolled flower. So when you click on that and you put the green box around it, it selects it, and we're just going to add that to our canvas. Again, I like to do my rolled flowers with no more than a medium weight cardstock, so I'll continue to use the collection of cardstock I have. This rolled flower is a little bit different because it has like little notches on it that works to hold it together. So that's a little bit different than some of the other rolled flowers in Design Space, but you have so many rolled flowers. Like there are so many, I can't even tell you how many different ones there were. And so we're going to go ahead and select Make. And this will work on any of your machines. You could use your Explorer, your Maker, your Joy Extra, whatever machine you have. We're just going to cut this out of paper cardstock. And let me grab my machine here. Oops, why is it saying Bluetooth? Oh, I know why. Let me stop share. Sorry. It's because, sorry, I'm on my different computer. I forgot I was on a different computer. Let's go. I'm going to have to just pull this back up, but it'll just take me a second, guys. Bear with me. I'm going to add my image. I'll do the rolled flower search, just in case you didn't do it. And then I'll filter by free. And I'll just add that rolled flower to my canvas. We're going to cut it out. You can always change the size of a design if you want to go bigger. This flower comes out about an inch to 1.5 inches. So if you wanted to go bigger, you certainly could. If you wanted to make multiples of these on one mat, you could do that as well. And that would give you just more choices there. So I'll just be using our medium cardstock to cut this out, and that requires just my fine point blade. So we'll do that one. We gotta get all this stuff out of the way. Let me switch back over to my overhead camera. So we can do this last one. Let's say continue. Okay, so here's my overhead camera, and you can use, if you want to, you can just grab your material from your bow. I'm just going to put that on my mat. Again, I'll just use my wedge to make sure that that is in place, and we'll just go ahead and cut that out. Now, let's see. I'm going to show you, this is one of my favorite tricks. If you do a lot of paper flowers, you want to have the top from a vinyl packaging. So if you're going to, let's say you want to make a frame and put like a holiday frame and put a lot of different flowers into one frame, you may want all of your flowers to be the same consistent size. So, this finished flower ends up about this size. Now, again, this flower is a little bit tricky because it has those tabs on it. It has the little tabs on there, so it is a little bit tricky to put it together. But I'm gonna show you how it works and how you can use your top here to make it easier. Now I can see that my blade is getting caught in my material, and I'm guessing I may have a little piece of fuzz or something in my blade. So let's see if this is going to be okay for me to work with. Most of that tears on the outside of the fabric, but I'm guessing if I pull out my blade and I pop it open and I go like this, there's just probably a little bit of fuzz on there that's causing that to give that funky cut right there. So again, I just turn it over. We're going to remove the backing, remove the paper from your mat. And then let's double check our flower and make sure it's okay.
Hey, Coach.
Yeah.
Did you plug in your glue gun yet?
You know what? I was not going to use the glue gun on this today.
Okay, just checking.
I don't know if we have that on the supply list, but thank you. It is easier with the glue gun. And if I'm making a lot of flowers, I definitely will use my glue gun for sure. And I love Cricut's glue gun. It's good. It has a lot of heat to it. So I do have some little pieces here that are kind of wrinkling there. I had my scissors handy. Not sure where they went. Here we go. I'm just gonna kind of trim that off. I have a clean little flower. All right. I think I'll leave that. So it's just one little spot here too. So if I were doing this for a project, obviously I would recut this flower and I would check two things. One, I already checked my blade to make sure that there wasn't any little debris inside the blade or something like that. I would also check my mat, and I can actually tell you I have two little pieces of debris from a previous cut. So that's probably where my blade got caught. And that's what caused that little hiccup there. So to clean my mats after I cut, and usually when you cut cardstock, you can get like a little bit of debris on your mat, or if you don't put your little plastic cover back on, I just use a wipe every now and then. These are just wipes, baby wipes. I don't have any babies in the house, so I had to go buy them special, but they're just baby wipes. They're alcohol free. And you just want to rub that over your mat and remove any debris or anything like that is on your mat. And that will keep your mat clean and keep your blades fresh and keep you in good working order. Now, if that were to consistently happen after I did this, and I have had that blade for a good long time, I might be thinking it's time to replace my blade, but your blades are going to last a really long time, as long as you take care of everything. So if you don't keep your mats clean, your blade can dull. So you want to keep your mat nice and clean like this. So that's it. And at first you're like, oh no, I ruined it. There's no more adhesive on there. Don't worry about that. Your adhesive will come back. Okay, so on to our flower here. Now this is where I say it's a little bit tricky because of these tabs. The tabs will fall into this slit at the end of your rolled flower. So this circle part here will end up being the base of your flower. So everything, we're going to roll it around much like we rolled this little guy. And at the end, your flower will go onto the base and it'll glue onto the base. It is easier to do this with hot glue gun. Katie is right. And I probably should I plug in my hot glue gun? Let me see. I have it right here.
That's what I like to use for my rolled flowers, but I just wanted to remind you because I know it can take a second to heat up.
I know. Let me see if I've got some glue handy.
Okay, if anyone wants to ask questions, I can answer them live while you do that.
Okay. I do have some glue. Yeah, I'll go ahead and heat this up real quick because you're right. It is much easier when I have my glue stick in there. So good thing to have your supplies handy. And
Or you can be like us and run around your craft room looking for everything.
Oh, Katie, I need you here all the time. Kesley, don't forget to mirror your vinyl.
Coach Danny just asked if I could come organize his craft room for
I love it. All right, so I'll just let that heat up there. And then, so again, I'm using my quilling tool and your tabs are going to go into that slot. So I kind of like to push those tabs out of the way. So I'm not going to roll onto the tabs, but I kind of need to give myself space to get into the tabs. So let me just go get my quilling tool on here. And the quilling tools you can get them at different widths based on the width of your paper. So sometimes they're a little bit smaller, sometimes they're a little bit bigger. You can get a set of quilling tools. And you can also, again, just use your fingers. You don't have to have the quilling tool to do rolled paper flowers. If you just do a lot of them, I think it just makes it easier. Unless you're me today, nothing's easy. There we go. Come on, get in there. What if it's just me? All right, I gotta go get my reading glasses. I was trying to do this without having to use my reading glasses, but it is time to pull out the readers. All right, so I can see that there's a little slit in my quilling tool here, and I just want to get my paper in that slit. So I just tuck that in right there. So it's just going to go to the end. You want to start off at the end, and we're going to roll towards the inside. So my little tabs there are going to stay on the bottom of my flower, and you're just going to roll it to the inside. I'll keep the quilling tool on my flower this whole time. So before I took it off and I just used my hands to roll it, which was fine. But for this one, I'm going to keep them on there the whole time. Once you get to the end, this is where your cap will come into play. If you want to keep your flower the same width all the way around, go ahead and put your flower upside down in the cap. Then, let me get that little flap up. Then what we're going to do is kind of let it open up a little bit. Let it bloom inside that circle piece. And with your little tabs there, you're going to let the tabs open up and put, I don't know if you guys can see this with my hands in the way. Your tabs are going to go inside the base because that's got the slit in there. So the tabs will go inside the base and go the other way. Now, you don't have to use the little circle, the cap that I'm using. You do not have to use that. I'm just using that to make it a little bit easier on myself. I'll take my glue gun and add a little squirt of glue underneath the tabs. And that will hold one tab, and I'll add a little glue underneath the other tab. Normally you just have like your little circle spot and you don't have to worry about the tabs. I'm not sure how I feel about the tabs yet. And you'll just hold that in place for a second. Now I will say another thing is I like to have like a little marble or a ceramic piece, and that helps with your hot glue. So you're not working on your craft space with your hot glue. So I'm just going underneath that little flap, not the tab part, but the flap, to give myself something to glue onto. Now when I put my flower out, I can kind of just spread it out a bit and make sure it's adhered onto the glue. And if you need to, you can just go back in, add a little bit more Hot glue. The reason I like the hot glue, as Katie said, why it's better to use that, is it dries so quickly and it really holds the position of your flower. But there is your rolled flower design. And you could make a whole bunch of those and fill in a frame or something. This is one I did without the circle piece, and then this is one with the circle piece. So they both turned out really cute. This one's a little bit tighter, and I think if I were doing a series of these flowers, I would definitely use the little rolled piece. All right, guys, I think we have come to the end of the day, and not the end of the day. We still have lots of time in the day to finish our project. Did I lose myself? Let me see. I want to remove this spotlight. We don't need this. There we go. All right, there we are. So you guys still have lots of time in the day to get crafting and make more paper flowers. If you have any last minute questions, please drop those on to the Q&A so we can just answer those last few minutes of questions. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. This has been a great journey with Cricut and teaching you all classes this year. I've really enjoyed it. Please do join Cricut if you want to learn more about your machine, all the different things you can create. Please join us on the learn.cricut.com website for on-demand tutorials and instructions. And I hope to see you in 2024 in the Cricut Facebook groups. Ask your questions, and we're here to answer those questions and share our insight. Katie and Christine will be there with me. So that's where you can find us. That's great.
And Coach, we do have our 102 class this coming Thursday. And then our last class is this class again with Coach Danny next Wednesday.
Right, December 20th.
Yes.
Yep, that's our last one. So the Cricut, tell you more about the Cricut Facebook groups. Cricut offers, there are about, we tried to count them all last time. I think there's about 8 different Facebook groups. So you can go into a niche if you want to. If you want to, there's a Facebook group, for example, on setting up your craft space. There's a Facebook group on using fabric. There's a paper Facebook group. There's a beginner Facebook group. And then we have one big Cricut official Facebook group. The Facebook groups are moderated and by Cricut experts like Katie and Christine. And they're really there to help everybody answer questions and get more information on what you're doing and what you want to do. So like if you have a hiccup at say 2 a.m. in the morning and you're like, oh, how do I do this? I forgot, I don't know how to put this together. You can go onto the Facebook group and ask and say, hey, can anybody help me with this? And almost always there's going to be somebody online who can help you and answer your questions. So I really want to encourage everybody to do that. Plus, it's a place where you can go with other creators who understand when you've done something that was really hard and put your heart and soul into something. And you can say like, look what I made. And there'll be, thousands of people there to cheer you on in your learning journey or in your crafting journey, wherever you are. So I always love that. Is there a better way of putting the tabs at the end? There really isn't a better way to do it. That's why I'm not so sure I like the tabs on the project because they kind of get in the way. It's easier just to have that back flap fall over the back of your flower and put your adhesive on that. That's kind of how I like to do it. I don't usually use the tabs, but that was the free project and I wanted everybody to have a chance to try that one. All right, guys. Well, thank you all so very much for joining me again. Katie and Christine, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys so much.